You know what happens every year? Running back comes from seemingly nowhere to be a league winner in fantasy football. Last year, had guys like Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, and Chuba Hubbard who wound up leading the way. Who's going to be this year? We got 5 names for you guys that we think are going to break fantasy football.
Fantasy football is broken. Every year, we draft, we prepare, we believe, then one injury or wrong start sit tanks your season. It's time to join the fantasy football revolution. Welcome to the new era where you have the power. One injury doesn't end your week, it just activates your bench depth. Started the wrong guy? Fix it immediately. No more regrets. Got a hunch someone's gonna pop off? Bet on it and supercharge your score. This isn't just fantasy football, it's the future, it's fair, it's flexible, and most importantly, it's fun. Go to draftlane.com/play now to join a free league or create your own.
Now, those running backs aren't always rookies, but sometimes they are.
Yeah, sometimes they are. Speaking of Bucky Irving, think back to Bucky Irving last year, right? He was drafted by a team that already had a good but not great kind of established workhorse running back. And a lot of people, myself included, thought this is never going to be more than a 50-50 split for Bucky Irving. But what happened as the season went on? Bucky Irving was just so much better than Rachaad White that the Bucs had no choice but to give him the ball more and more as the season went on. Well, that's going to be the case, in my opinion, with TreVeyon Henderson of the Patriots this year. Look at the running back room. You got Ramondre Stevenson. He's fine. Nothing special, but he's fine. He's also got fumbling problems. And you got Antonio Gibson, who I don't even know what to make of Antonio Gibson at this point. TreVeyon Henderson has the talent and the pedigree to be miles better than both of these guys. Last year, he was one of, if not the most explosive running back coming out of college. One of, if not the best pass-catching running back coming out of college. But he's also a guy, if you look at it the year before Quinshon Judkins was there, he was a guy who was one of the better between the tackles runners in college. Just because last year he was more of a passing game role doesn't mean he can't be a true 3-down back in the NFL. He absolutely can. And he has the talent to just pull away from both Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson this year. And I think we're going to see that happen. I think what's going to start with him being involved more in the passing game, being a weapon in the passing game. But as he becomes more of a weapon in the passing game, and as he earns more trust and more carries, and the coaching staff just realizes, Mike Vrabel, that, hey, this is our best running back, he's going to get the ball more. I really think he's going to be this year's Bucky Irving, but even better because of all his pass-catching potential. No, he's not going as late as Bucky Irving went last year. People aren't quite as asleep as they were on Bucky Irving last year, but he's still a guy you can get 6th, 7th round of your fantasy drafts. I'm taking that every single time. Maybe at the beginning of the season, he's not in your starting lineup, but by the end of the season, he will be, and he'll be breaking fantasy football, and he'll be breaking the hearts of all your friends in your league.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Henderson, but like say you can't get him a running back who's also rookie is going in the exact same range, and I think is going to do a lot of the same types of things that you just mentioned. He is the Joker. That's right. Say with me, RJ Harvey is going to be the man this year in Denver because Sean Payton got his guy just like last year. He wanted his quarterback that he could mold in his image, Bo Nix, and he got him. And hey, he exceeded my expectations. I know that. He got his running back this year because, man, he did not have it last year. We know that committee, whatever you want to call it, that they had, none of those guys were good. All right. And so what's left there? I guess they kept McLaughlin and Estime. They're just kind of on the roster still. RJ Harvey is the number 1 running back, and he's that elusive Joker type player that Sean Payton always talks about. He's going to be this do-it-all kind of player for him. He's going to move him around, and he's going to be the lead running back as well. By the way, he's going to lead this team in rushing. He might wind up being, if not the lead receiver, one of the leading receivers for this team too, because he is that type of player who can do this out of the backfield. Sean Payton's going to be using him that way, and I'll tell you what, last year, Bo Nix, in his rookie season, he had the 3rd highest check down rate of passing it to running backs. That's good for fantasy. In fact, that's gold for fantasy for running backs when you're going to get a ton of receptions in a PPR league and be the leading rusher. And let's face it, they don't have anybody who's going to steal goal line work or steal any work for him. I mean, I cannot possibly be higher on RJ Harvey since I've been even before he landed in Denver, and just falling here in this situation makes me think that he is probably going to break fantasy this year. All right, but there are still some breakout running backs you could find even a little bit later in the draft. So who you got in mind?
I've got DeAndre Swift in mind, and I know we've been waiting for this guy to break out forever, but I think this is the year where he finally does it. Last year, he was 7th in opportunity share and 13th in weighted opportunities, but only 21st in points per game. Why? Because the Bears' offense was a complete train wreck and the offensive line wasn't much better. But now they're bringing in Ben Johnson, and they've made massive improvements to this offensive line. But you know what they didn't do? They didn't bring in any competition for DeAndre Swift. A lot of people think Rashawn Johnson is going to be in the David Montgomery role. He's not even running as the number 2 running back right now. Like, please stop it with Rashawn Johnson. The number 2 running back right now is the rookie they drafted very late, Kyle Monangai, and I don't think he's a major threat to DeAndre Swift. And in fact, look at what Ben Johnson said about DeAndre Swift, and I quote, "I think very highly of DeAndre Swift. He's an explosive athlete. There's a number of things he can do in the run and pass game. I think he can help ignite an offense because of his playmaking ability. It'll be fun to start to work together again with him this spring." And you go back to 2022, the last time he had DeAndre Swift, Ben Johnson. DeAndre Swift averaged 5 targets per game that year, which would have been 3rd among all running backs last year. DeAndre Swift is going to be the guy in this offense. And we got to believe that Ben Johnson can get the most out of Caleb Williams. That was why he was brought here, to help Caleb Williams help this offense with an improved offensive line, with a better offense around him. DeAndre Swift should finally have the potential, those open lanes, those open running lanes, to hit those explosive plays, to catch passes. I think this is the year DeAndre Swift finally lives up to his expectations and delivers and breaks fantasy football in 2025. If you're itching to draft fantasy teams right now, don't wait. Underdog Fantasy has live drafts running all offseason with fun, unique formats, including their flagship Best Ball Mania 6, which will make multiple millionaires in 2025. Plus, pick'ems are already live for week 1. Just head to UnderdogFantasy.com, sign up with promo code ENDGAME, and they'll match your deposit up to $1,000 in bonus funds, plus toss in a free gimme pick.
All right, I'm going to go back to another rookie this year. If you want to look for the closest thing to, let's say, this year's Bucky Irving, it might be in Dallas. I know I've been a little critical of that Dallas run game, but I'm starting to buy into Jaden Blue. He's definitely getting the opportunity, and after a slow start, or I guess not so flattering comments from some of the beat reporters and guys who are watching, now it's nothing but rave reviews. And here's the thing, like Bucky Irving last year, okay, we know he was a talented back. Okay, that's not an issue. All these guys in the NFL are talented. Not an early pick, right? Somebody who it's easy to forget is even, out there because you didn't see him drafted in the 1st or 2nd round. He's competing with a bunch of guys there, including former Denver Bronco Javonte Williams, who I'm clearly not worried about. But look, there's no guarantee here. He's got to earn that playing time. I think he's going to do it because he's already starting to do it. He's already getting first-team reps with the offense, and we still got plenty of preseason left to go. That shows that they have some confidence, and like I said, they've already started to give him some great compliments, and he's looking like he's got burst. I know he's got more burst than all the other running backs in that backfield. This is a guy who's got the talent, just, in college was not fully used because of the competition there at UT. He's probably going to have to earn his way onto the field, just like Bucky Irving did last year. If he's the superior athlete, he's going to get on the field. And I'll tell you what, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer paid him a compliment saying he reminds him of a bigger Darren Sproles. Now, that's interesting for a couple of reasons. Now, Darren Sproles, you might think, okay, well, he wasn't exactly like Barry Sanders, right? He didn't help me win too many fantasy championships. He was valuable, but for a different reason. He was a prolific pass catcher. So this makes me think he likes Blue's hands. He's going to use him as a receiver. Just like I talked about with Harvey, just like, Chris, you've talked about with Henderson, with all of these guys. They are going to be making money for you in your half and full PPR leagues because they're going to be catching a ton of passes and getting a lot of rushing yards. And so, yeah, I think Blue could run away with this job and is definitely a guy who could wind up being a sneaky league winner / breakout. Now, how about a running back we both think could wind up breaking fantasy this year? Tank Bigsby in Jacksonville. I know that looks kind of like a muddled committee as well. You don't know who's the guy and who to draft. It's looking like it's Tank.
It is looking like it's Tank. And the irony here is he's the last Jacksonville running back being drafted in fantasy drafts right now. Like I'll say, I was probably a little overexcited for Bashaw Tootin. And look, maybe as the season goes on, Tootin works into the passing game a little bit and has some value. But it looks like right now this is absolutely Tank Bigsby, RB1 in Jacksonville. And it makes sense. I talked about it on the late round running back video. Last year, Tank Bigsby had 13 runs with 10 yards after contact, which was tied with Bucky Irving in 40 less attempts. Also, Travis Etienne last year, 46 out of 47th qualified running backs in missed tackles forced per carry, and Tank Bigsby had almost a full yard after contact more than Travis Etienne per attempt. And if you just watched these guys last year, it was obvious Tank Bigsby was so much better than Travis Etienne, and he fits the Bucky Irving role. Like, look, everybody wants to try to figure out who the David Montgomery is going to be in the Ben Johnson offense, and everybody wants to figure out who the Bucky Irving is going to be in the Liam Cohen offense. Well, if there is going to be a Bucky Irving, it's going to be Tank Bigsby. He has the inside track to be the RB1 here, and I also talked about it on the video. In the games where he had at least 12 carries last year, he averaged over 14 points per game, and he scored double-digit fantasy points in every game but one. He's going to get way more than 12 carries a game this year. Tank Bigsby might be one of the best values in all of fantasy right now. He's going undrafted in a lot of leagues, but he's literally the starting running back for the Jaguars.
Yeah, and again, just the eye test, just what everybody is saying, what the coaches are saying, the reporters. So far, it looks like he's clearly the best running back that they've got there. John Shipley of SI said that it looks more and more like this is Bigsby's chance to entrench himself as the number one running back. I mean, he already is the number one running back. That's, what the stats bore out toward the end of last season. He's got that job. I know some people also might be tempted to say, well, maybe we don't need to draft a Jags running back. This is just still going to be a mess. And, how much value did they really provide? This is a different year because it's also a different coaching staff. As you mentioned, Liam Cohen there, the guy who made Bucky Irving a fantasy stud last year. Why can't he do it with Tank Bigsby this year? All right, don't forget, I've got plenty more for you. Check out the playlist with all of the best draft advice you need to win.